John, delighted you're here with us this evening. Thank you. Over to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Martin. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to be in what I can truly tonight call the white hot atmosphere of the Deanery Synod Network. Bishop Stephen and I have indeed known each other a decade, and I must just tell you that on the day that Stephen arrived to take up his appointment, our chief executive at the time submitted his resignation to Stephen and me, where I was Diocesan Board of Finance Chair. Brilliantly together, we worked to appoint John Ball as our chief executive. He went on to become chief executive of the Church of England Pension Board. Stephen appointed somebody else, and virtually on the day that Stephen's new appointment was announced, the next chief executive resigned. There's something about Stephen and chief executives that mean they can't live without them. You've been advertised tonight as the chance to get the first glimpse of what the budget for 2021 for Archbishop's Council is going to look like and what your apportionment is going to be. I'm afraid you've been sold a dummy. The budget that will be circulated next week is that which was prepared for Archbishop's Council prior to the COVID crisis emerging. We have to, by law, circulate a budget. You will, I'm afraid, see one which is defunct. But we decided that there was absolutely no point in trying to prepare another budget based on the immediate reactions at the time. And that has been borne out in practice. Quite understandably, when faced with a crisis of unprecedented proportions, the immediate reaction of many parish treasurers and PCCs was to not give any money out to anybody. And the fallen parish share in April was in double figures. Already in May, we have seen that number bounce back. This is not, of course, to ignore all the other losses of income that parishes and communities are facing, and dioceses as well, through the loss of meeting hires and all the other income that comes in on top of parish share. But what we are going to do at Archbishop's Council is to delay until the last moment the preparation of the budget 2021, which will now be approved at the November Synod. That way we can have the best idea of how the crisis is emerging and what the after effects are. But of course, none of us can know what's going to happen to the economy as furloughing unwinds and the economy is unlocked. And so we have to move forward in this state of suspended animation. The assurance I can give you tonight is that whatever happens, Archbishop's Councils have resolved that apportionment on dioceses must not increase in 2021. So let you give me that assurance at the outset. What we did do was determine that we had to ensure that every piece of support to our wonderful dioceses that we serve, and beyond them, the parishes and communities and the chaplaincies, we needed to make sure that support was available. We met urgently and immediately unlocked the liquidity financing, which is now available to be repaid anytime up till September 2021, and which enables dioceses to overdraw against their stipends account. And then 2 weeks ago, we met again on this occasion to unlock 35 million of one-off grant funding that can be accessed by every diocese in order to ensure that this covers some of the unforeseen costs or indeed the unforeseen losses of income. Somebody said to me, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I believe it's to be a once-in-a-lifetime responsibility that now we do those things that need to be done in order to ensure a healthy, growing church. And last night I spent at Coventry Diocesan Synod, and to those friends from Coventry, thank you for giving me an inspiring evening as I was excited listening to your emerging diocesan strategy. Bishop Christopher talked about a healthy, growing church, one which is constantly reshaped to meet the needs of the country going forwards. And I think, and I got into trouble when I went to the House of Bishops this morning, it's been quite a 24 hours, Martin. I feel as if I've been immersed in full immersion as in Salisbury Cathedral. I went to the House of Bishops this morning and I talked about the rules. Those of us who are involved at Church House are there to ensure, to facilitate the growth of the rose that blooms in every community of this country. so that all the people of England can experience the joy of the living Christ in their midst. Roses are best when they are pruned from time to time, when the dead wood is cut out, and when all the force, the power of the roots is charged with firing up the blossoms that happen at the furthest extremities. And that is what we will now do. I've been delighted by the way in which our diocesan secretaries have helped us. They really have stepped up into this space to give us lots of advice and guidance. And when they met back in April, they were clear. Do not use this crisis as a reason to step back from the bold growth ambitions of the Church of England. Carry on working, please, to enable us to have the strategic growth to which the dioceses have been working. A growth which has seen the number of dioceses with dedicated strategic and project resource, expertise, moving from a couple to now over 2/3. And that is what we will do. We will work to enable you to have strategies for growth, to bring Christ to life for those who have yet not experienced the joy of going into the light from darkness. And so this afternoon, the Strategy Investment Board met under my chairmanship, and we approved several diocesan projects, committing over £22, thus bringing the total devoted by the Strategy Investment Board for strategic projects to 150 million. Now, some of you may say, well, that's all very well, but what about us? What about you is we have to work out how to support you, and that requires you to tell your dioceses and the dioceses to tell us. And we will then do what we can to provide that support. It has to be that we grasp from nettles. It has to be that we take the chance to emerge in a healthier state than we were before. As Bishop Stephen, Archbishop-elect, said, the church that we had before the crisis wasn't really working. We've got to work with you to work out how we build on the brilliant successes many of you achieved with digital and online worship, to make seamless the ability to work on those on the digital side and on the physical side, to enable those who wish to move between the two to do so seamlessly without obstacle, while equally to further build on the things that have been put in place already, to inspire the generosity which I believe to be one of the marks of mission. A generous disciple is a true disciple. And so we will work on that space. But we have to take the opportunity, and I have to take the responsibility as serving you as your finance chair, to say to the House of Bishops and to Archbishop's Council, this now is the time for us to strip out the unnecessary encumbrances on the engine room, which is what Church House is. I went to the House of Bishops today and received their support. I will go to the Archbishop's Council next month to seek their support for us to start radical action which will eliminate bureaucracy where it can be safely eliminated, which will say it is much better to do one thing well than to do it in multiple places and in multiple layers. That we enable that engine or the root of the rose, whichever way you wish to be as effective as it can be, so that the inspiring work all of you do through your deaneries, parishes and communities may be replicated by the way that the wider church responds. And that we may emerge truly with that ambition of which I will always talk, that the risen Christ in every community and across this country is at the centre of its conscience and its culture. Thank you, Martin.